Ready to go? All right. Definitely wanted to thank Don Johnson and the entire Johnson family for putting on CLEPIN. Since I've been in this space, they have been amazing ambassadors for everything that's pinball. If you wanted to play in a league, you went to Kid Force. If you wanted to know where to buy a machine from a trusted distributor, you talked to Don. So without him, I think the Cleveland pinball scene wouldn't be a quarter of what it is. So definitely thanks to them. Marvin Orshed, I know he's a huge contributor to this show as well, so thanks for all of the effort that you put into this. Chris Myers from Compulsive Pinball, you brought the heat with all of the Sterns. Your LE stuff is just insane, so if you're looking for something, hit up Chris with Compulsive. And then again, none of us would be able to enjoy this without the huge pinball community that we have. And then of course, our friends at Marco for streaming this and supporting everything pinball as well. But I was asked to do this, and what did I want to talk about? I'm kind of a dabbler in everything pinball. Work with Mad Pinball as a distributor. Pretty much if they make a pinball machine, we sell it. Do a lot of marketing, do a lot of just work with all kinds of awesome people in the space, and then tell a lot of really lame jokes. And I'm also known for giving away a lot of shirts and prizes. So anyone that's in the seminar today will definitely probably walk away with something cool. But if you ever see me at a show or anywhere else and I have my backpack on, I probably have something cool in the backpack for you. So always say hey. So if you don't know, what is a pinball distributor? It is an intermediary between the customer and the pinball manufacturer. So why don't the manufacturer just sell straight to the homes and to the locations? What the pinball distributors do is we carry the product, we answer the questions for the customers, we take trade-ins, we do repairs, we stock parts, we stock accessories. Basically, we're the marketing and the trumpeting voice for all of our manufacturing partners. We're out there pounding the pavement, not only selling into people who are already big into pinball, but trying to grow the pinball community in general, because we don't want to see the traditional peaks and valleys that we've seen in the past of pinball. We want this to grow and keep growing and just be as big as it possibly can be. So with Mad Pinball, we currently have contracts with Stern, Jersey Jack Pinball, American Pinball, Spooky, Pinball Brothers, Barrels of Fun, amongst others. Like I said, basically, if it's a pinball game, we can help you out. You can check us out on our website, madpinball.com. Always email me, Jeff@madpinball. I can help you out. But we ship all across the country for all of our manufacturing partners. Logistically, there are always some challenges with whether it's coming from Chicago or some of our friends in Italy or the Netherlands or elsewhere, but I've learned more about air freight and slow boats and FedEx freight than I ever wanted to know, but that's part of being a distributor. And part of why we are that buffer between us and the manufacturer, between the customer and the manufacturer. So big part of my day is maintaining our website, our social medias, doing repair requests, route location requests, updates, sales inquiries, and then just having that constant line of communication with all of our manufacturing partners. It was a lot easier when we were only a Stern dealer because I was just talking to one manufacturer and focusing on one thing, but the customers spoke and said, hey, we want access to all of these other games, all of these other awesome things, and we didn't want anyone to miss out, so now we do it all. One of the biggest things that we do trying to expand the community is doing pop-up events. So it's very easy to show up at CLEPIN and you have thousands of people coming in going, oh, I love pinball, I love what you do, but it's the same small pool of people. So we do a lot of events at festivals, retro gaming events, like we have Cleveland Gaming Classic coming up next week, where it's a pinball adjacent space where you're going to have people who are into retro gaming, tabletop gaming, basically we call it nerd culture. And we think if you're into these things, there's a good chance you're also going to be into the nerd stuff that we're in. So we try to get into those spaces as much as we can. Breweries, comic book shops, record shops, wherever we think that people can experience pinball and learn to love it like we do. Whenever I came into the space, I always just wanted to be in the background, have no one know who I was, just be an email address. But now here I am sitting in front of this camera. We also learned that, hey, if you want to be out there and you want people to know about your stuff, probably going to want a podcast. So we started a podcast. So if you're looking to listen to us drone on and on about weird, eclectic pinball stuff, check out the Fresh Pinball podcast. It's 4 of us, my partner in Mad Pinball, Corbin Angeli, his brother Zach, and then our good buddy Kyle. So you get 100 years of operator experience with the Angeli family, the distributor side, and then our enthusiast and restorer friend Kyle. So we talk about some weird and off-the-wall stuff, but strangely, people like George Gomez have been on the program, John Norris has contributed, and then we get people within the community too to hop on with us and just talk about what they have in their game room, what they're chasing, and all the fun stuff. I briefly mention my partner Corbin, Angeli Stark Novelty. He's a 4th generation operator, and somehow I convinced him to come into Mad Pinball and bring it exclusively to Ohio, and he was crazy enough to take it on with me. So the last 9 months of the 2 of us working together have been amazing. The location side of it has just given us a whole nother arm that I couldn't do before. People were asking, hey, can I get games in my brewery? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I could sell them games to put into their spaces, but I didn't have any way, if they didn't want to spend $100,000 on equipment, to make that dream come true for them. So with Angeli Stark Novelty, I'm able to make that connection to where we can lease equipment, we can put them on route, we can do all kinds of different programs with that. So I know you're not here tonight, Corbin, but I'm with you, buddy. All right, so I promised some lame jokes, so I'm gonna give you at least one here. So what do you call a person who lies about his or her pinball collection? Pinocchio. Thank you, thank you. I'll be here all weekend. So I'm going to do a couple pieces of trivia. I've got some shirts here for the couple people in the audience. If you happen to think you might know the answer, throw up your hand. So does anyone know the first game with a player selectable music track? It's a Data East title. It's the first DMD game, I believe. Not Time Machine, but you're in the right vein. There's a car involved, a couple of Porsches. If you're doing laps and laps around the track and you hit the goal mark, but you're not at the finish line, you're at the checkpoint. Winner. What shirt size are you? Yeah, of course. When we order shirts, we understand in the pinball community that, you know, we're not the fittest of people, so yeah, I've got a 2X for you. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. Second little piece of trivia here, and this one, I would accept 2 different answers. So first, non-use of a steel pinball in a game. So so that's interesting that you say that, because I had that on another question of first use of glow-in-the-dark paint is what I found for Viper Night Driving. So we were out at did you go to Pin Brew this year by chance? Awesome show. Definitely encourage anyone who hasn't attended to check it out. Keith Campanelli and crew do an amazing job out there, but there was a Viper Night Driving there for sale, and I was able to resist buying it, so I give myself a pat on the back for that. So I would accept 2 different answers for the non-steel pinball one. The answer that I feel like is the correct one is a Pat Lawler wide body game that's based on a television series. Or the other answer that I think is also correct would be the biggest pinball machine you can imagine. Hercules? Yep. Twilight Zone was the one I was thinking for having the glass ball in it. I think that might have been the first one with a... What size shirt? What size shirt are you? What size shirt are you? XL? Perfect. Oh, of course. Of course. The other ones that I had is we're huge fans at Mad Pinball and Angeli Stark Novelty of Midnight Madness. It's a program in some WPC games to where the vision was in an arcade. At the stroke of midnight, these games go into a special mode called Midnight Madness. There are 6, 7 games that have it. who done it, Dirty Harry, things like that. So one of my other questions was, one of the first games to have the choice of picking a traditional 3-ball game or picking a timed game of novice or regular was who done it. So that was one that if you see out there, a lot of people kind of give it some crap, but of having like the biggest, easiest ramp ever. But if you actually take some time to understand the game, you're supposed to shoot different parts of the ramp to then go up and down the elevator to exit on what floor that you want to be on. So that was the first game that I could find that had the selectable option of doing a timed game or a traditional 3-ball game. And then my final lame joke that I have, let's see. Did you hear about the pinball machine with the broken left flipper? Don't worry, it's all right now. I did bring in with my partner, my booth partner. If you don't on social media, follow darkroom_pinball on Instagram. It's a good buddy, local buddy here in Cleveland that does pinball photography in the space. John Geyer, he's amazing. Brought a lot of cool stuff to the show. If you're still coming out tomorrow, swing by the Mad Pinball booth. He has prints available. Swing by the booth and see me. Always giving away shirts, giving away posters, all of that fun stuff. But that was all that I had for today. Did you guys have any questions at all about pinball distributorship or where I found my lame jokes or anything like that?
Where are you out of?
Sure. So originally, I got with Mad Pinball with Rob Bradley, who was based in Berlin, Maryland. So 2021, 2022, 2023, we operated in both spaces, Ohio and Maryland. We had showrooms in both spaces. So then this year, Angeli Stark Novelty purchased Mad Pinball and brought it exclusively to Ohio. We're located down in North Canton, Ohio. We're like 5 minutes from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So that's us. We're here, there, and everywhere. Try to get to as many shows as we can, but there seems to be pinball every weekend if you're willing to engage.
How soon do you think you'll have the Avatar pinball?
That is the best question. So we are having it is leaving Chicago September 16th. It should be to us within 2 days of that. And then, like I was talking about, we do a lot of pop-up events. So if you follow us on the Mad Pinball social media, you'll see we're going to have it at that following Monday at Quarter Up Arcade in Akron. We work with the operator in Kent, Ohio at Madcap. We'll most likely get it over there. We have a few brewery locations that will pop up with it as well. So instead of just having it sitting in the showroom, hanging out for people to come and see, we bring it to the locations, to the people to experience. And it just is a lot more of a party at that point. It's people coming out and being excited about what the new thing is. So that'll be coming. We should, at the beginning of this week, have our X-Men LEs shipping as well. We'll have those coming around on pop-up events as well. But social media is the best way to follow where all of these things are happening. Follow Mad Pinball on Instagram, Facebook, all of those fun things, because that's where all of that goodness is. Anything else?
Yeah, what's your pinball origin story?
Oh my gosh. So as a kid, my dad would take us to this resort. It was a camping village at like the very best. You could either camp tent or you'd have like these really, really crappy cottages. But there was a laundromat on site. And in the laundromat, there was a baby Pac-Man, a Donkey Kong, and a High Speed. And I could sometimes, you know, get a couple quarters out of them that weren't going for the laundry, and I would throw them in those games. And ever since then, I was just hooked. So I was with it all through then. And then when I became an adult, you know, an old man and was having some disposable income, of course, I immediately bought a baby Pac-Man and a High Speed, and that just morphed into everything that it is now. So yeah, probably, like a lot of people can say, they have that imprint as a kid or as a teenager and then circle back to it later in life. But pinball has been amazing. I get to travel around from the East Coast, West Coast, everywhere else to see arcades and shows and people, and it's just a fantastic community of of people just looking to get out and have that release, have that fun to where they can engage with the game. And we always talk about at Mad Pinball that we feel like there are 3 different segments of enthusiasts. You have your hardcore players that they're in it because they're super enthusiast into playing pinball. You have your acquirers who just love the thrill of the chase and they love getting new games and they love expanding the collection. And then the other piece of the pie tends to be the people who like to restore or modify or everything else. And you'll see those 3 different segments bleed into each other where someone will be, you know, in different areas, but those 3 chunks really just seem to be like the core of what the pinball community is. And, you know, you're not going to be in it to make a bunch of money. You're going to be in it because you love it and you love the people that are in it. So.
Who do you feel like are your core customers?
So the biggest thing for us is growing it. So it's very easy to show up at a place like this or Pinball Expo and people are just buying games. You don't have to sell them, they just want the games. Our core customers are the people who have maybe not been behind a pinball machine in 20 years, have no idea that pinball machines are even still being manufactured. Those are our core customers, the first-time buyer, the person that literally you're probably on the phone with the first night that they get the game set up, and you're explaining to them how to take the lockdown bar off. Like all the stuff that we take for granted, but the things that the people that we want to grow this with are experiencing for the first time. So it's definitely a lot more work and a lot more time-intensive, but that's our core. That's our goal, is all of those people. And I'll shout out Stern here, big time with the Insider Connect program. That's one of the biggest things that we hear from our core of customers is, my wife won't play a game now unless she can scan in and get badges and achievements and everything else, or my son is obsessed with trying to complete this quest that's going on. So I think that's connected with different demographics and different people that in ways that it wouldn't have been able to with just traditional pinball. So that's definitely our core. Yeah, yeah. I've never had a real job in my life. Before I did pinball, I managed movie theaters on the exhibitor side of it, so my wife always gives me a hard time that I live like this fairy tale life of like pinball and movies and whatever else. So while she's out there working hard, doing a real job, I'm out here playing pinball and hanging out with people and doing it all. Yeah, you know, it's a real thing, I promise. But no, it's a passion for sure. You're not in it any other reason unless you love it.
Can you talk a little bit about Mad Pinball marketing? Because I feel like y'all have done such a great job. Even
thank you.
I'll be in the Gulf Coast and I see Mad Pinball, you know, posters on the wall in different breweries and stuff.
That's the silly thing, is like the shirts and the posters and stuff like that, as we've connected with different people, they're then wanting to, they're telling their buddy who owns the bakery, like, you need pinball machines in your bakery. They're telling anyone that'll listen, you need pinball out here. So once those locations are established, like, we print thousands of shirts a year and we just send them out to our operating partners, our location partners, anyone. And it's so gratifying, and it's so, like, takes me back whenever I walk into a show and I see people I don't know wearing our gear. I'm like, you're going to a pinball show, you could pick any shirt you want out of your dresser and you picked that shirt. It's really satisfying. But that's the plan, is like we just spend stupid amounts of money on shirts and things and just send them out, because who doesn't like free stuff? Like, who doesn't want like to take a shirt home or a sticker or whatever else? And I know I like getting free stuff, so that's just what it is. And we're fortunate that so many of the locations and operators are willing to, you know, grab that stuff for their tournaments and their events and give it out to their people. People are so super creative. Like we were talking about, pinball people tend to be, you know, bigger folks, taller folks, and whatever else. So a lot of XLs and 2XLs tend to get ordered. We had a customer at the shout out to Gonzalo out at the Long Beach Beer Lab, one of our operating partners. A lady out there had won like a 3XL, the shirt that I'm wearing, and she was like not deterred by that at all. She took it home and like custom like cut it down and like turned it into this, I'm gonna swear, badass dress, and posted like some pictures of it. And I was just like, this is someone who's like dedicated to this whole thing. So whenever you see those sorts of things, it's definitely cool. But yeah, that's Mad Pinball in a nutshell. I mean, yeah, we want to sell games, but we also want to grow this. That's every time I'm talking to any of our manufacturing partners, it's like, what can we do to grow this? Who can we talk to? Who can we get in with? Who, what is this going to take? What festival can we get to next? Who are you hearing from that's asking for machines at their event, but you guys don't have the capacity to do it? That's what we want to do. Whether it's an Oktoberfest by American Pinball at all these Oktoberfest events, or it's a PBR can crusher game at a brewery or whatever else, we make it happen. One of our first big events, like pop-ups that we did, was when the Stern put out James Bond. Corbin said to me, hey, how cool would it be if we got all the James Bond machines together and toured them around? Like, well, how many James Bond machines are there? He's like, well, there's the old Gottlieb, there's the Sega one, there's going to be the 3 from Stern, and then there's going to be the 60th anniversary. Like, oh, how hard can it be? We can get all those games together and do this tour. Yeah, finding some of those games, the older ones, was definitely a real challenge, but as we were doing them, we were updating Pinball Map of where the games were at the time and where they would be next, and we were getting messages from Pinball Map of like, do you really have every level of this game at Rack It Up Arcade in Canton or wherever? And it was like, yep, yeah, we do. That's not an error. That's for real because we're psychos. So come on out and check it out.
There's lots of new dealers and distributors popping up lately. What advice do you have for them to help?
Yeah, my advice to any new dealer or distributor is to make friends with other dealers and distributors, because while there tend to be a few that just kind of want to do their own thing and be left alone, by and large, we're all in this for the right reasons, and we want to help each other out for the success of pinball. So whenever I came into it, I immediately made friends with Craig down at Fun. I made friends with Jason down at Classic Game Room, like all the good people that you would want to deal with. And at the peak of this, when you couldn't get certain games or there were scarcities or whatever else, like we were pointing people to each other, and saying, hey, this person can help you out, that person can help you out. So my biggest piece of advice getting into this would be, don't sleep on social media, don't sleep on the people who aren't hardcores, and make friends with your fellow dealers, because you're going to be in a pinch at some point and you're going to need something, and having some friends in the industry is monumentally huge. Most people aren't afraid to help you out.
Yeah, it's a great community.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, there are some out there where everyone's just in it for themselves. Pinball, by and large, tends not to be that way whatsoever.
I have a question. Do you sell any other amusement products like air hockey or bubble?
Great question. Yeah, so the Angeli Stark novelty arm of it has helped us out at Mad Pinball tremendously. They had contracts already in place with Ice, Raw Thrills, so pretty much any of that you need. If you need a Pop-A-Shot, we can get you a Pop-A-Shot. You need an air hockey, you need the big Jurassic Park environmental for your basement, we can help you out with that. You want to get a jukebox for your basement, pool table, all of that stuff. It's literally that marriage now has made us so much stronger, to where we're just a one-stop shop almost for everything. Someone wants to rent something, they want to lease something, they want to go to location. We have the capacity to do all of that now. So the original goal of Mad Pinball of selling 40 machines a year has morphed into this insane thing now, to where it's way bigger than I ever anticipated, but also way more fun than I ever anticipated. But anything anyone needs, email jeff@madpinball.com, and I'm awesome in email, stay super organized that way, and can definitely, if I don't have what you need, I know who does have what you need, and I'll point you in that direction.
Do you guys sell older games?
Yeah, so that was a side of it that I didn't anticipate, was the trade-in part of it. I always thought, people are just amassing these huge collections. Everybody has like 60 games, right? No big deal. And as pinball has started to grow and people's game rooms have filled up, the trade-in side of it is super fun, because you never know what's going to be offered to you any day of the week. But then I have an Excel spreadsheet, I call it like my madman's manifesto of all of these names, all of the games people are looking for. I put dates with all of them. So if you say to me, I'm looking for a high speed I write down your name, what game you're looking for, the date that you asked for it. When that game comes in and gets restored, I go in order of the people who have asked for it. And then if no one's looking for it that way, then it goes out onto the website or on social media. But yeah, we do anything on the pinball side from electromechanicals all the way through solid state to the newest of the new. But yeah, some of the crazy stuff that comes in, like rarity-wise and whatever else, I was joking with some of the old school operators that had booths set up here this weekend, talking about, everybody talks about these warehouse finds and whatever else, and there aren't anymore. That is not the case whatsoever. There are still basements and barns and warehouses and buildings that are still packed full of this stuff. They're just waiting to be found. So if you're looking for that next project or that resto or whatever, it's out there. That's all I've got, though. Thanks, everyone, for the time, and everybody out there on internet land. Definitely follow us on our socials, Mad Pinball, all of our pop-up events, all of the crazy stuff that we do is on there.
What's the next show you're going to?
So next week literally is Cleveland Gaming Classic. It's over in Cleveland, right over by the airport at the IX Center. It's another one where they've embraced. Originally, they didn't have arcade or pinball at all the last few years. They dabbled in it, realized how amazing it is, and this year they're really blowing it up. So I know Don Johnson is supplying a bunch over there, so he'll be participating in that. And then we have in October in the Pittsburgh area, PGX, which is a fantastic show that started out just as tabletop gaming, retro consoles and things like that. Now the last 3 years, Mike Hof, Mike Bear, some of those gentlemen over in the PAC community have then added pinball and arcade into that. So we're gonna bring about half a dozen or so games over there. Avatar will be there, so if you're hankering to play some Avatar, get over there and check that out. I know Chris Myers from Compulsive Pinball will be doing the Stern side of it over there as well, so I'm sure he'll have X-Men over there for everybody to try. But we're gonna bring some wacky stuff over to PGX. We're gonna bring a Jetsons from Spooky Pinball. We're gonna bring a Punny Factory from Pinball Adventures. We'll most likely bring a Ninja Eclipse from Turner Pinball, so shout out to Chris Turner. You've been an amazing supporter. Then we'll have Avatar there as well, and then we still have 2 more that we're still kind of keeping in our back pocket that we'll be announcing on social media shortly. But if you want to see weird, wacky stuff that you don't see other places, definitely come to PGX and some of the other shows. So those are coming. We're excited for Expo, of course. It's right around the corner. We're going to be there Friday, and then on Saturday we're going to be the crazies out there over at Pinball Olympics doing all of the wild events with our friends at Pinball Life. So that's the next few exciting things coming. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I know you said you didn't want a shirt.
So I'll take either way.
Okay. I've got stuff.
That was it. We taken down a couple of them. So check out the others. Success. More seminars next week. See you in a few weeks. Portland Metro Game Expo and Impact Live on Thursday.